There's great opportunities, but as always, there's challenges. And we're going to keep going to work every day, try to make sure there's opportunities for our farmers.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of the State of Soy. I'm Michaela Jordan, here with Iowa Soybean Association CEO, Kirk Leeds. Kirk, let's talk about your March edition for your column in the Iowa Soybean Review. You talk about some of the dark clouds that are looming over the soybean industry and kind of what's on the horizon. What worries you looking to the future?
Well, as you know, generally I'm a very optimistic person, and I remain very optimistic about the future of Iowa soybeans and U.S. soybeans overall. But there are some dark clouds on the horizon. And in the column, as you mentioned, I talk about some of those clouds. Increasing production in Brazil, eroding our market share globally is a huge issue. Cost of production has gone up significantly over the last 3 years, lower soybean prices. Some of the challenges we're having in biodiesel and renewable diesel. Since the time that article came out, we've had an announcement of 2 biodiesel facilities in the Midwest closing. A lot of it's related to the government policy, which is not as supportive of biofuels as we'd like it to be. We got increasing crush capacity, which is a wonderful thing, except if we overproduce soybeans and the crush margins begin to fall, that'll impact farmers as well. And then lastly, I talked about geopolitics and the war in the Ukraine, the war in Gaza, and just disruptions around the world. And then on top of that, you got all these disruptions in transportation because of lack of rainfall and terrorism in the Suez Canal area. So these are all dark clouds that we have to be realistic about, and we have to get to work on trying to address.
There's a lot of different things to consider, whether it's on the domestic front or the global front. And you touched on it a little bit with Brazil and their growing production and market. I know you recently had a trade mission there as well. Talk about what you saw during your time in Brazil and what that means for Iowa soybean farmers.
So on this particular trip, we were in the very northeast part of Brazil, which is the new growth area for soybeans. And we saw land being cleared, we saw new land being brought into production. But the bottom line of the story is Brazil is a real competitor. They're not going away. They're going to continue to increase their production of soybeans and corn for that matter. They have great technology, they have great equipment. Our advantage remains in infrastructure in the sense that we're able to move our crops more quickly and less expensively than they are, but they're a real competitor and they are eating away at our global share of markets. And we just have to be aware of that. We have advantages. We're more sustainable, we have better infrastructure, we have more stability. Trade is based on the US dollar as opposed to other currency. All of those things are in our favor, but you have to be realistic. Brazil is a competitor and will continue to be an increasing competitor in the future.
We've seen a lot with the quality of Midwest soy and specifically Iowa soy kind of setting that advantage when it comes to the marketplace. Branching off of that, what is ISA going to do with checkoff dollars to help farmers?
Most importantly, we have to continue to make sure our farmers in Iowa are the most productive they can be. They can do so in a sustainable way, and they have great access to markets. And those have been critical features of our program since my early days 35 years ago. Sustainability is a buzzword. I know there are some farmers who are skeptical of what that is, but the reality is the global food place, the market is demanding more sustainability, more abilities to demonstrate that we're producing soybeans in a way that's less damaging to the environment. We have a great story here in Iowa and most of the U.S., so we're going to make sure we capitalize on that message. We're going to bring trade teams to Iowa and we're going to get them on farms. They're going to meet farm families and see how we produce soybeans, how we take care of water, how we deal with biodiversity issues. At the end of the day, our number one advantage in addition to infrastructure is the quality of our farmers and the quality of the soybeans that we're producing here in this country and in this state.
There's also been a lot of positive changes in the industry. What is that bright sun that you see on the horizon, or what's going to help Iowa farmers going forward?
Well, at the end of the day, you have to remember the world is hungry and the world needs more protein, high quality protein, whether that's in direct consumption of plant-based proteins, which is a small percentage, or increasing desire for meat protein. We're seeing an incredible expansion of soy being used in aquaculture. When I started many years ago, aquaculture, fish feeding was not an issue we talked about. As you know, we're over harvesting oceans, and so the growth in using soybeans in a feed ration for fish is growing. The world needs more protein. We're feeding more pigs every year, we're feeding more poultry, producing eggs and poultry meat all over the world. So those are very positive. At the end of the day, we produce meal, protein for livestock feed, and we produce vegetable oil for biofuels, but also for food uses. We're the best in the world. There's great opportunities to continue to meet those demands.
While there may be some challenges on the horizon, the Iowa Soybean Association and CEO Kirk Leeds is here to support Iowa farmers throughout these different endeavors. Kirk, thank you for joining us today. Reporting for this edition of the State of Soy, I'm Michaela Jordan.
Do you remember when you first believed that anything was possible? Do you remember when you had doubt? Obstacles you couldn't overcome? Do you remember when you pushed through the pain and refused to quit? Remember, He created you for this.